We're out here at Mr. and Mrs. Millikin's house. We're looking to do a fascia project, fascia and soffit as well. Pretty basic on the front here, not all that much siding. Coming over to the left side here, got some rod on the gables. This side definitely need to come off here. The wood's splitting really bad. Got some batting on there. But you can see the rot in the wood. That's going to need to come off there. Put a good substrate on, and then do our Tyvek and siding. Got some decent little woodpecker holes up in the fascia, right up top up here, right along that gable peak right there. So we can address those, correct any rot, and then continue on with the fascia overlay. We're going to do drip edge too. We're going to put on a hardy drip. Make sure that that's taken care of for them, so the woodpeckers aren't getting into the drip edge after the fascia board's put on. So this gable we will tear off, OSB it, Tyvek it, and then siding. One more gable here on the left side. This is in better shape. We can use this for our nail over here. Again, drip edge all the way around. Got some minor rot right up in the crevice, right up here at the chimney meeting place, so we'll have to address that before we do the fascia overlay. Everywhere else looks pretty good. Again, use this substrate as our backer board for the hardy. Just tear off the batten basically, and then Tyvek, trim, and siding. All the siding line here where it meets the stucco, all that's going to be flashed and sealed all along wherever, both sides, all gables, wherever we have that siding meeting the stucco, we're going to actually flash that, seal it, so there's no chance of any kind of water infiltration. Coming around back here, no issues really, just straight overlay, 1x2 hardy drip all the way down. It's about 60 linear feet. Doors were just retrimmed. They're brick mold, so we're not doing any door trim there in the stucco, just leaving that alone. Just 60 feet basically of drip edge and hardy fascia. Most places we got a 1-foot soffit back here. Most places we got about an 8 or 9-inch soffit on the gable peaks and on the horizontal runs, linear runs up front. How you doing? All right. In this corner, there's pretty good rot up here. Right in this corner, you might be able to see it on the camera, hopefully. So that whole corner needs to come out. We'll actually repair, cut out the wood, repair it with lumber, and then continue on with our fascia overlay. On this gable, the woodpeckers has really done some work on the fascia and the siding, so those areas will need to be addressed before we continue on with the scope of work. The 1x2 is in pretty bad shape back here, especially where the chimney is. What a good thing probably to do would be to do some minor diverter flashing up there, just so it's not beating on the wood. Just put a little lip there on each side of that chimney, so we can kick that water out, so we're not beating up the 1x2s that are both rotting against that chimney wall. And coming over here to the right gable, you can see the rot from the woodpeckers. Got some good rot right in this area here. Pretty decent sized hole right up here, and then right at the gable peak underneath the soffit where it meets the sidewall, there's a really good hole there. So all that will be repaired before we do the overlay and put on our hardy. Gable vents on all 3 gables will be retrimmed in hardy 1x4. We'll wrap it. Use the elbow flash system from Tyvek, and make sure that's a good weather barrier there before we retrim it in the hardy. Coming down here, same thing. Fascia's in pretty good shape, definitely good enough to be to accomplish our overlay, so that'll be no problem at all. We're going to look at a couple different options here. Let me get away from the AC unit. We're going to look at a couple different options in terms of speccing it with fascia and soffit, and also without soffit. and then we're going to spec it in terms of siding with board and batten, and then also just vertical 8. So those are two Sierra 8. So those are the two ways we're going to look at it, and then we'll look at the soffit and the 1x2 drip, hardy drip, as an option. Continue around to the front here. We got this gable, minus a couple woodpecker holes. Got one you can see pretty clearly right there. That'll be repaired, and then we'll continue with our soffit, hardy board after we do the Tyvek and the trim. Otherwise, pretty good shape. At the peak of the gable up there, see if you can see it on the camera here. There is a little crack where it's peeled and separated. We're going to repair that, of course, before we seal it, before we do the fascia overlay. Otherwise, the gable's in great shape for an overlay. No issues with doing that. Coming up to the front porch here again, soffit's in pretty bad shape here. If we choose not to do soffit, we're going to have to do some work to clean this up, make it look nice. The ventilation looks pretty good, not major issues, but the soffit's been obviously worn here because of the overhang being so small. It's not getting protected. Underneath here, we're going to rewrap both side lights and the door. Also, this window will be rewrapped in hardy 1x4 after we do the elbow flash and straight flash systems around those areas of both the windows and doors. Porch ceiling we would just paint. Not sure if we're doing a color change quite yet, but we would include painting this porch ceiling just to give it a nice coat and give it a consistent finish with the rest of the house. Got this gable right here basically in good shape. Again, same system with the gable vent. Retrim it, hardy 1x4, straight flash and elbow wrap systems from Tyvek. And then of course on the gable lines, doing our fascia overlay system. One thing I'll discuss is this porch railing. If we're going to be painting that or just leaving it as is, a lot of that obviously will depend on color change and color selection from Mrs. Millikin. Coming around to the front, this last bit here, we have the fascia overlay. That's about it. Soffit. Soffit's worn, obviously. A lot of it looks superficial. It's not sagging or bowing, but it's obviously worn in terms of paint and the wood being exposed. So that's the last little run of fascia here. Otherwise in good shape. No major rot on this area right here. So that's what we got. Again, Mr. and Mrs. Millikin, we appreciate you considering Southwest Exteriors, and we look forward to the opportunity to working for you. Thanks so much.